Every now and again, off to a glorious start. Every now and again, I get a DM or a tweet or a text. What's that song that kicks off your show? It's called Threw on a Record by Small Town Strip Club. I think they're playing in Guelph tonight. Hey, Philly and Nashville, are they playing in Guelph tonight? Do you have the tour dates? Do you know? Or was that last night? Do I have all my dates messed up?
I can pull that up. I'll find it for us.
All right. Turn your volume up too, man. Get your microphone up. You're going to be a big part of the show today. You know why?
My bad.
It's Put It in the Fuck It Bucket Friday. It's just chat day. You know, we never get a chance, really. As much as I big up how much the chat is fun to follow, and it is. Like, I'm sure you've seen me a million times doing a show, talking to someone, and I'm just looking down, laughing, having a look. Oh, yeah, that's funny. That's good. That's good. That's good. We never really dedicated enough time really to talking to people. Now, normally Fridays are reserved for Brian Burke. This week, Berkey couldn't make it until much later, so we said, hit pause, Berkey. Cool your thumbs, Berkey. Come back next Friday, and we're all good. So Brian's going to join us next week. In the meantime, we have a lot to get to today. Tommy T, Mr. Marek. Yes, I know. Salty tongue. But it's the weekend, and look where Philly is. In his tastefully decorated hotel bedroom. Pillows aren't even made. I won't even ask the question. Look at that. Yeah. Did you get service to make your bed? Did you make it yourself?
No, made it myself. Yeah, I told them. I put the thing on the door. Do not come in here. If you could see the setup I have sitting in front of me right now, to be able to do this show and some of the Leaf stuff that I had to do.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a mess.
That's okay. That's good, though. That's part of being a professional. So Philly's in Nashville right now for a Leafs Nation vacation. Want to get into some Maple Leaf stuff here in a couple of moments. Want to talk about the Rangers with you in a couple of moments here as well. But we got a lot to go over. And before we get to the daily outlines here, presented by our friends at FanDuel, let me read something off to you. Oh, boy. Who said this last night? Maybe after a loss to Anaheim at home. I know it's going to be a challenge. We've just got to find a way to find a little bit of joy in what we're doing. I think if we can do that through this stretch and find a piece of our identity, I know it's too late to find out exactly who we are, but just a little piece is kind of all I'm asking for, begging for from that group. It's challenging. We've got a lot of guys that haven't been in this situation, our veteran guys, for a while. I think mentally it's a drain. It's hard. But they're going to be here a long time, or they have a long time on their contracts. They're supposed to be our leaders. They have to set an example going down a certain way so our young guys see that we never want to be here again. But when we are here, we have to handle ourselves with a little bit more professionalism than we are right now. Andrew Burnett, head coach, Nashville Predators, taking shots at his veteran group, including, but not exclusive to, your Steven Stamkoses, your Brady Shays, your Jonathan Marchessaults. That, Philly, is what we refer to in the industry as a dagger from the coach last night. I know things have not gone well for Nashville. I get it. I think we're all wondering the same thing. Whose timeline is Nashville going to do this on? Like, it's going to be a while for the Kemmels and the Edstroms, etc., and the Mollendykes to get to the NHL and establish themselves as that next group that's going to take Nashville, hopefully, to the playoffs. In the meantime, the timeline they're doing this on right now didn't work. And come next season, Philly, all these guys are 1 year older. It's not going to get any better soon, is it? Anyway, thoughts on that one from Andrew Burnett. Bullets.
Well, I did not see this until you read it to me right before we went on air. It's like kind of one of those ones where you can only laugh. It's like, it's not funny, but it's...
I don't know. It's funny. I'm not
funny.
invested in any NHL team. I find all of this kind of funny. I find sports funny. It's Toys R Us.
Look, I mean, I told you, like Ryan O'Reilly last night also had to comment along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, but it was, I can't be mad at anything. I'm not good enough. Like, I'm not good enough to be mad.
Yeah. I can't be mad at anyone else. Situation. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. And I mean, look, we're here in Nashville. We were gonna see if we could get some Preds on the show today because we're doing a live one. You think anyone's willing to go on and do the Leafs show today?
I don't think so. This is a tough one. Happening. This is a tough one. Oh, Small Town Strip Town in the chat, by the way. Small Town in the chat in British Columbia next weekend. What else do we have? Where they are? Art Barcia there. I guess that's tonight. Anyway, in Guelph tomorrow night. There we go. In Guelph, home of the best university in Canada. The only one that would have me. University of Guelph. Yeah. Well, Ryan D'Souza, your buddy, went there. Come on.
DeSilva, yeah. Yes, he did. Yeah.
Your buddy Liam went. Your buddy Liam went there. Your buddy Liam went there. Give him some love.
Yes, he did. I mean, I'm not gonna get in the argument, but Western University. That's your friend Elliot Friedman went there. I mean, come on.
Weak.
I went there.
Get purple, get naked, go Stangs, go. Really creative. Really, really good. Yeah, did you hang out at Saugeen Maitland too? Oh, here we go. All the frosh. Gonna go to the Seeps this weekend. Gonna crush a few tins. The Seeps. Maybe hit up Joe Cool's. Yeah. Real great.
Yeah, it's a good spot.
All right, let's get to
all
what
those things are true.
This is going to be the show today. It's going to be like so sloppy, I swear. Like, I apologize in advance if it just goes careening off the cliff. But here we go.
I got Robert Thomas and mailed it in. That was it.
No, you did. You did a great job getting Robert Thomas down to the St. Louis Blues. Man, was that a fun game last night? Well, a fun third period, really, but we'll get to that in a couple of seconds. We got a lot to get. McDavid and Draisaitl not playing tomorrow, out for a week for the Edmonton Oilers. Chicken Little, the sky is falling there. And I want to talk about Nick Suzuki's Offside. Oh, my God, really? That's where we're at. Okay, I'll explain why if I mentioned what I did last night on Twitter. In the meantime, here's what's allegedly coming up on this really loose program today, this really sloppy effort bucket. There you go, to be nice. Friday here on the program. Daily Outline presented and powered by FanDuel. Our friends and presenters there make every moment more with North America's #1 sports book. Don't forget FanDuel, North America's #1 sportsbook app provider. And coming up on the program today, Philly, we got a lot of things to get taken care of. And a lot of it's going to involve talking to people that are in the chat and take a ton of emails because we never get a chance to do this. And yes, we will talk about the Nashville Predators. Did I mention that young Zach is in Nashville for the first time? And last night, young Zach went on the town with Jay Rosehill and Carter Hutton, and we'll talk about the Preds and everything Nashville. And I think I mentioned on the program the other day, some of the best people in the NHL work for that organization. Oh, boy. Are we going to talk about the Sabres? We're going to talk about the Sabres again. Now they're putting the puck in their own net right under the nose of their owner and Kevin Adams. Maybe you've seen the picture. Could not be farther away from each other at that game. I only wonder what's going through Matt Ellis's mind in that box yesterday. Matt Ellis is the eye in the sky coach for the Buffalo Sabres. And to balance out the hockey universe, we'll turn it into the Roch pod, the Rochester Americans pod. Big 3 games and 3 nights for Rochester. Well, and they're really good. We got to keep trying to balance out the Buffalo Sabres situation. Rochester good, Buffalo, and not so much. We should talk about expansion, talk about Houston as well. You know, it's funny. I can remember even going back to when the Minnesota North Stars moved to Dallas to become the Stars, that there was some talk about eventually Dallas getting their own state rival. And it feels as if it is on the horizon. We'll get into expansion talk. We know Atlanta's out there, certainly, and a couple of different groups vying there, and it looks like there's one, according to Emily Kaplan, that's very much in the hunt here in Houston. And chat! If you're watching live on YouTube, you're part of the chat, so ask away. Ask away. A couple of things before we get there, though, Philly. First of all, how much hockey did you watch last night? I know you went out and around Nashville for the first time last night. I'm guessing you had a good time. It's impossible not to in Nashville. But did you watch anything other than the Maple Leafs Rangers game?
No, I'm just going to be honest, no. I've watched clips and stuff, but last night was very much get here, get to the bar, set everything up because we did a show live there last night, watch the Leafs game, meet and mingle everybody who came here on the trip with us, and then out on the town.
Okay.
So it was not much consumed outside of just standings watching and clips and highlights. Did
you see the Nick Suzuki offside in that Islanders game?
Yes, I did.
So the spirit of offside, again, and please don't tell me, does it only just have to be close to count when the puck goes over the goal line? Is that right? Offsides and goal lines are two completely different things. The spirit of the offside is just to keep players honest. Originally, the intention wasn't for it to be an exact science, kind of like line changes or dump-ins around center. Like, that's the one that I always keep coming back to here. Like, we're going through the offsides pixel by pixel, yet dump-ins get a free pass. How many of them actually are from center or past center?
Yeah.
You played.
No, it's not a lot, honestly. Like, watch. If people watch that closely, there's more icings that could be called. A lot more.
Yeah. So, anyhow, the spirit of it here is just kind of keep guys honest around the line, just so it's not egregious. And 99 times out of 100, the linesmen get it bang on. This one last night is the closest offside I have ever seen for a video review. I can't think of one that is this close. Like, this is like half the width of a dime. Maybe if that. And even then, the video is kind of blurry on it. Are we really prepared and willing to stop the game for that long to have a look at this when the spirit of the offside rule isn't violated in any way, shape, or form? Are we really willing? I get that, like, the toothpaste is out and it's not going back. I understand that I'm the salmon here and this is upstream and I'm not going to win this argument because once it begins, Colin Campbell used to always talk about this and still does, the law of unforeseen circumstances, and what comes out of what you think is going to be an altruistic rule that's going to make everything better can make the argument that offside review has made everything worse. And I don't want to get to a place where we're just completely fed up with offside reviews or video reviews, but man, I'm there. And to me, like the Nick Suzuki offside, and this isn't like a partisan thing. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't care who wins between the Islanders and the Montreal Canadiens. I really don't. I just hated watching that. Like, look at that. If you're watching us on YouTube, like, look how close that is. You're telling me that we're cool with that in the NHL. That we're cool taking that one back.
I hate this, Jeff. I hate that this gets reviewed the way that it does. Is the thing, like, if the only pushback on it that I would have is if it was like a VAR where it's called right away. Like, how in tennis they have the Hawkeye, I think that's what it's called. Mm-hmm. If there was some way for it to be instantaneous and like a light goes on, kind of tells you to stop play. But there's times where we're going back a minute 45 after this has happened to review that. What's the point of this? So don't we want the product to be fast-paced, entertaining? Like, that's part of what the game is. And then some new person turns on the TV and you see the refs over there with the headset looking at an iPad talking to the guys in Toronto for 10 minutes. Like, dude, this is Matt Duchene's fault.
Do you want that? Well, that was the play, but as we should do an entire show on that one, actually, because it was actually the official that thought that the defender brought the puck in, which actually caused all of this in the first place. But it wasn't just Matt Duchene. There was also an Alec Martinez event as well. So I think it was the two. I think it was Duchene, and there was also a Martinez Los Angeles Kings incident that prompted everybody to throw their hands up in the air and say, we've got to do something about this. Well, way to go, dummies, because this is where we're at now. This is what we get. We get like this little tiny sliver of white between the back of Nick Suzuki's skate and the blue line, which is getting goals called back. No thanks, man. Like, honestly, I've really had it with this one. Let's get to a couple of chat questions and then just sort of flow for the entire show here. And we do have something we want to play, by the way, from Johnny Lazarus, who I talked to this afternoon and said, hey, what are you doing this afternoon? He said, well, I can come on, but I'll be like boozy in the pool. He's at a bachelor weekend. I'm like, no, Laz, I'm not going to drag you into that, bud. Just stay in the pool, stay all boozy for the weekend. We're not going to drag you into this one. Do you have? Oh, here's one. Richard Chung. Jeff, who is your favorite hockey personality that you've interviewed? That's a whopper. I really enjoyed back on 640 talking to Marcel Dion. I really enjoyed talking to. You know what? You know who might be my favorite? It's Peter Stastny.
Really?
Peter Stastny, I've long been a fan of, and he told an incredible story about 1976 and the Canada Cup and how the dressing room was split down the middle between the Czechs and the Slovaks, which I had, grown up never considering for 1 second. Probably Peter Stastny. I remember having a really good interview, or a fun interview at least, doing 32 with Bill Foley, the owner of the Vegas Golden Knights. And you want to hint for what to do with an owner now if you ever talk to an owner on any of your shows, Philly?
Yeah.
So I asked Bill Foley. I kind of know what I'm doing when I'm doing this. Like, of course, he's going to give you an exaggerated answer, or he's going to give you an honest answer that the NHL's going to hate. I said, if there weren't a salary cap, how much would you spend on players? And he said, like $150 million.
All of it. I would spend all of it.
Spend all
anything.
of it.
All of it.
Yeah, keep spending.
That's a good answer.
That's a good one. Anything from emails or anything you want to go over here from the chat? I'm just gonna sort of surrender this one to you and let you drive as hungover as you might be today.
But I'll just throw in, by the way, my favorite person that I've got to interview, hockey personality, I think might have been Philip Pritchard. By the way, the keeper of the cup. I got
Phil's
to interview
great.
him one time. It was
great
amazing.
Historian as well. Although my favorite interview that I've ever done was with Dan Carlin, who I still consider from Hardcore History, who I still consider the best podcaster. Period. I got to do a live event with him. To host one in Toronto before his book came out. It was a book launch interview. That was hands down my favorite. Rick Hansen, as well. I can recall a moment where, Rick Hansen, who rode his wheelchair across Canada and completely such an inspiration. I think he rode it around the world. I remember asking him. I said, he's such an upbeat, lively person. Really happy. And I said, does anything like make you angry? Or does anything piss you off? And he said something along the lines of, because he's in a wheelchair, he said, when I see people like you taking the escalator, because I'd give anything to get up out of this wheelchair right now and walk up that flight of stairs. And ever since then, the only time I've ever taken an escalator or an elevator is when there's no stair option. I always think of that moment with Rick Hansen saying, I wish I could get out of this chair and walk up those stairs. That was it for me. Never, unless there's no other option, I'll always take stairs just because of that.
It's a cool story.
Rick Hansen, baby. Great guy.
Here's a question for you from chat. Randy Workman. Jeff, have you ever thought about allowing the chat visitors on the show?
Yeah, of course.
People in the chat.
100%. 100% I would. How would we do it? You want to have like a Brady Bunch screen? Like, or just like one at a time? I'm happy to do that towards the end of the season. You want to do that after Stanley Cup?
Mm-hmm. I think that would be fun. We could find a way to do that. I mean, I think one of the things, which I don't want to reveal too much, but we had talked with Wish about doing some stuff. We'll circle back on that. Maybe there's a way that we could get that involved. I do want people to keep sending questions here in the chat. I'm going to read through them and I'll ask. Big Willie here has asked a few times, so he wants to know, Jeff, do you have a favorite moment so far from doing the sheet? A favorite moment, quote, something that's happened here just in the short period of time we've been doing this?
Favorite moment from the sheet? Yeah, I do. I think it might be yours as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's also probably Willie's.
Brian Burke, civilians. Some civilian. That's been the highlight of the show so far. Brian Burke referring to some civilian who walked in, just like the Brian Burke death stare. Seeing Brian Burke stare that guy down as he opened the door to his office at the Mattamy Athletic Center, and then Burke saying, some civilian. And that is a common, that's a common saying from Berkey. That's how Berkey refers to a lot of people. I was talking to some civilian last night. It's awesome. I love it. So probably the civilian moment from for Big Willie Styles.
Yeah, I think that's mine too. If you want another one that is kind of underrated, very funny for me at least, not in the moment, and I don't know if it was funny for you in the moment either, but when we did Biz and Tulski, and Tulski joined the waiting room, and Biz saw him
that
in
was
the waiting
awesome.
room.
That was great.
I almost shit my pants because Biz goes, "Oh, there's Tulski," and pointed at the screen, and I was like, "Oh no," because I forgot that he could see. I forgot that he could see him join the waiting room. And you said, you were like, "What do you mean?" Because I know that you don't see it.
I couldn't see it.
Like,
I couldn't see the waiting room.
And Biz is like, "He's right there," and he's pointing at the screen. I'm like, "Oh my god." Now, in hindsight, hilarious.
That's awesome.
Now, looking back on it, is funny, and I've had people message me about that.
Speaking of Tulski, 8 in a row for the Carolina Hurricanes.
I know.
8 in a row. Jankowski's got 4 goals in 5 games, and don't look now, but doesn't Taylor Hall have 6 points in 6 games? All of a sudden, Taylor Hall's totally heated up.
Mm-hmm. Sneaky just part that got added into that trade that has just not been talked about too. It was all ranting. He took up all the oxygen, understandably. But they got a really good player in Taylor Hall. He's fitting in nicely there.
Yep.
Team's doing well. I mean, again, we don't have to rehash the whole thing, but Jeff, Mikko Rantanen comes in, never seemed to work. I don't know if the fit of the way they play and the way he wants to play works. Whatever. We can debate all that. Maybe he just didn't want to be there. Yep. They got Stankoven back. They basically went to on par with where they were at before acquiring Rantanen. We can debate however we'd like on that. But basically on par. They were already a really good team.
I know. Here's another one for you. Here's another one just to take you into the weekend and think about this one. What do you think of a Colorado-Carolina Stanley Cup final?
Ooh.
The Rantanen Cup.
I would love that because that would also probably mean Colorado has defeated Rantanen and the Stars in the first round.
Right. Good point.
Which would be just another box to tick along the way there. And then we would all sit there and go, I can't believe he played on both of those teams this year.
I'm telling you, the Rantanen Cup, Carolina versus. Now, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to say this publicly, but I would imagine there are some people that are in the Carolina Hurricanes organization that would be like, you know what, we can do better with Hall and Stankoven than we can with Natchez and Drury. Sounds bold.
I would agree.
Sounds bold, but Carolina's won 8 games in a row. I'm just saying. By the way, you booked Robert Thomas probably one day too early.
I know. I know.
St. Louis looked good again against Vancouver, man. St. Louis is so hot right now. There's a lot of weird things in that game too. Justin Falk is firing it into the bench to just kill the play and the momentum. Next thing you know, Brock Besser is scoring on a really cool goal. Elias Pettersson with a pair of assists, and it's become really, really obvious that if the Vancouver Canucks are going to make it into the playoffs, I don't want to see what Quinn Hughes is looking like. It's really, really obvious that they're just going to have to wildly overplay him every single game. And again, last night, there's a couple of non-Quinn Hughes moments that we saw because he's out there nonstop. Every time you look at the screen, oh, there's Quinn Hughes. Oh, there's Quinn Hughes. Oh, there's Quinn Hughes. If Vancouver's going to do this, what is going to be left of Quinn Hughes is my question. because the only way they're going to do it is just keep this guy on the ice. Anyhow, Robert Thomas should have had a couple in the first period. Kyrou did. Lankinen was fantastic, and keeping the Vancouver Canucks in this thing. And all of a sudden, St. Louis Blues now, playoff spot. Here we go. Now, I don't think anyone's saying Gloria. I don't think anyone's talking about those days again here, but St. Louis Blues are in a playoff spot. Big win last night. There's a lot of cool stuff from last night. Like a lot of interesting stuff from last night. Rangers looked bad again, that game that you watched with the Toronto Maple Leafs. That was interesting. Winnipeg, Edmonton, with players leaving the ice. Connor McDavid leaving on injury. Concussion spotters taking Skinner out of the game. And Draisaitl not playing. I don't know. Don't know, man.
I know. Imagine what the Oilers Nation guys are up to today. It's what I was doing on Saturday night. I think for 90 minutes, probably just yelling and screaming. There's probably some panic going on.
Oh, by the way, you mentioned Bissonnette a second ago. So an email, Matt from Brooklyn. I want to make sure we get in this one. This is interesting. Hey, Jeff and Zach, the other week you were talking to Paul Bissonnette about Adam Foote and defensive defensemen that deserve to be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. It reminded me, that's a lot of words. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That's a lot. Okay, drop that one. Okay, so defensive defenseman that deserved to be in the Hall of Fame reminded me of an interview John Cooper did after one of Tampa's Cups where he was talking about how great and underrated Ryan McDonagh was in their playoff run. True. The thing that he pointed out about McDonagh that made him so special was that he was the guy, as a coach, you put out there to end the game. To me, that idea is a useful criteria for defensive defensemen getting into the Hall of Fame. Was this guy a closer, rather? Did you put him out there to end the game? McDonagh's another great example. Huge success, great player, unheralded, like buried behind stars, certainly in Tampa with the Cups. But if you ask all of those players, like who are the guys that really held it all together for some of those Stanley Cups? There's a pair of the underrated guys. One is Andre Palat, and the other is Ryan McDonagh. Not exactly a surprise that when Ryan McDonagh left, Tampa had a more difficult time with Mikhail Sergachev in that spot. And when he comes back, all of a sudden now we're talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning in contention for the Stanley Cup, again. I think McDonough's a great example as well. I love him. I've had people tell me before, like, no one recovers faster than Ryan McDonagh. Guys love him. You've played with guys that have been like strong defensive defensemen, and how much that means for a team. Ryan McDonough's an excellent example, a tremendous example. He's a different type of defensive defenseman than Adam Foote. Foote was a more, let's say, aggressive and robust defenseman than Ryan McDonagh, but I'll take Ryan McDonagh on my team. Like, you win cups with guys like that because what's the one common denominator that we see amongst teams every year that win the Stanley Cup? They can defend. They can defend. Like, how did Vegas win the Stanley Cup? They defended. Tampa, they defended. Go right down the line. Speaking of Vegas, can I make a prediction?
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to mark this.
March 21st, someone offers sheets in the keg.
Ooh. You think so, hey?
Yep.
Is there a team you have in mind that would do it, or you're just saying?
St. Louis. St. Louis is going to offer sheet everybody now. Doug Armstrong, just don't care. Offer sheet everybody. Like that defense, like that
offer sheet show.
Like that blue line is excellent. You know, I was on with Jason Gregory yesterday, and one of the questions we were talking about, one of the conversations we were having was, you know, where does the Oilers blue line fit in now with Jake Wallman? Kind of came around to the idea, as I was thinking about it and talking about it at the same time, that they're probably top 5 or 6, right? Like, you'd throw Florida in there when healthy and off steroid suspensions. You'd throw Tampa in there. You'd put Carolina in there. You'd put Colorado in there. You'd put Vegas in there. And I think with Wallman, you'd have to put Edmonton in that mix. Right? Dallas would probably be there with Heiskanen healthy. I think Washington has a really sneaky good blue line, like really sneaky good, that nobody talks about because everyone's like, oh, he's 7 goals away. And for good reason.
Yeah,
it's a huge story, right? And they're, first to 100 points, last to make the playoffs last year, first to make the playoffs this year. Like, it's been a great story. And there's going to be a lot of hardware at the end of the year, individual hardware for these guys. But Washington's got a really sneaky good D. But do you not put the Oilers in like top 5 or top 6 in the NHL for the blue line now that Jake Wallman's there? Like, now that Wallman's there, like, everything just sort of settles and everything's in its right place.
Yeah, I'm not as high on Edmonton's, but now kind of adding Wallman, everybody kind of settling themselves in. It's looking a lot better. I think one of the things that helped them a lot was Darnell Nurse kind of finding his game here again.
Really good season.
We talked to Tyler about it, right? And it was like him playing simple hockey. Like, that's a big thing there. It's like you pay a guy a lot of money. You need him to be at least not. I don't even know how to kind of really say it. You need him to not do what he did last year, right? Like, bad decision. Last year was a tough year for him. Right. Simplify. Hey, get yourself back to the basics, and it starts to help things out there. But yeah, I don't know. Top 5. I mean, I guess I'd have to really start to dig in
top
around.
Top 5 or top 6. But like, is there a team that I'm missing out on here? Like Carolina, Colorado, Vegas, Florida, Tampa, a little bit on the outside, Dallas and Washington. But like, Edmonton's right in that mix, though. Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Wallman, Kulak, Emberson. Like, that's a good defense, man. That's a good blue line. I don't know. Am I too high on Jake Wallman? I think he's really good.
No, I think he's really good.
Still don't know what Yzerman's doing. Like, Wallman and a second? I think he had just bought a house, too. Like, yeah, you're not going anywhere. Okay, I'm buying a house. Oh, yeah, you're off to San Jose.
And we're sending a pick to get rid of you.
And a second. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Carry on, chat.
Adam Kerr wants to know, Jeff, why does Milwaukee never get consideration for expansion?
I think the market is too small. It's always been seen as an American Hockey League market. There have been times historically in the NHL. I think there was some noise around Milwaukee in the 70s as a potential expansion or relocation market. I don't know that market size is what the NHL is looking for at all. It's always. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't say. I mean, Bettman always talks about you need an owner and a rink, right? And I don't think either have ever appeared for Milwaukee at the same time. Although that name has been out there, nothing in the last 20 years for Milwaukee. Good American League, good American League market though. Really good American League.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah, the American League market there seems pretty good. Can I just give you quick thoughts? And I want to know if you disagree, because I feel like you might.
Okay.
I am very much opposed to going beyond 32 teams.
Why?
I get it with revenue. I get it with all, like, trying to get to new markets and stuff. I understand.
Not enough talent to fill 2 more rosters? Yeah.
I think
that's honestly, Philly, I think that's a concern. I've heard that before, that the NHL is sensitive to expanding too fast and is a talent base there to keep the quality of play still high. I think there is something there to that. I won't disagree with you on about that one. Here's the problem. You know what expansion teams are going to cost now? You know how much money they're going to bring in?
I get it.
Like between $1.5 to $2 billion.
That's not an amount you can scoff at, right? If you're Gary Bettman and that's off on your table, you're like,
Vegas has been here for 5 minutes. Okay? You remember what their expansion fee was?
No, actually, I don't.
$500 million. Now we're talking about $2 billion. That's how fat. And think about it. Like, that raises, again, I'm always reminded of a conversation that I had with someone like a million years ago about the NHL and Gary Bettman, the commissioner. And this person said to me, you always have to remember one thing. Gary Bettman has one job. One job. And I said, no. He's got a lot of different jobs. He said, that's all in service of the one job. And the one job that he has is franchise value. And all of a sudden, you start welcoming in Atlanta and now maybe Houston, and they're paying between $1.5 and $2 billion for an expansion fee, guess what? Everybody's franchise value just went up because of that. And again, I'm always reminded, Gary Bettman has one job, franchise value. That's the job. So and I know the NHL is sensitive to it. Like, are there enough quote unquote NHL players that can fill 2 more rosters? I think they probably think there's 1. I don't know about 2 right now, which is why I think that the next round of expansion isn't going to be like, I think it's going to be the same as like Vegas and Seattle, that it's not going to be, here comes 2 teams. This isn't like Columbus, Minnesota. This is going to be like 1 team, bam, and then a few years later, here comes another one. But man, it's tough to walk away from $2 billion. $2 billion.
I get it.
Man.
I get it. I just, my problem is you're going to get to that point where we're looking around and it's like, I don't know that the talent is there to fill it out. Over time, maybe it builds up and you can get there, but there could be periods here where it's real rough. I asked the chat, by the way. That's the poll question I put up. Should the NHL continue expanding? No, please don't is in the lead, 47%. Don't care if they do or don't, 15%. 1 to 2 more max is second place, 28%. And give me as many teams as possible is 10% there at the end. But yeah, I'm opposed of it. I am. I get it from Gary's perspective. I get making money. I just personally, no interest there. Jeff, there is a question for you. Okay. If you could buy one franchise in any sport, who would you be? Who would you buy? Money is no object in this question. This comes from J-Rock.
My franchise
I think it's just interesting.
In any sport?
Yeah.
Man, I really love to buy the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
I love to buy the Blue Jays. I would probably... It would probably be a junior team. Probably be a junior hockey team. I went to University of Guelph and like never missed any Guelph Storm home games. It might be the Guelph Storm. It might be like when I was at university. That was the era where it was Jeff O'Neill and Todd Bertuzzi and Jeff Bass. Really, some really, really good teams. Yeah, it might be the Guelph Storm. What about you?
I mean, there's an obvious answer for me, right?
Well, you say Toronto Maple Leafs, right?
Yeah. So I'm trying to think like outside the box here.
You want to have that? You want to have that headache? Like, I know, like your accountant wants you to buy the Toronto Maple Leafs. But like, do you want like the headache of like trying to justify the 20% increase in ticket prices?
No, I don't. Oh my God, we've done enough discussion on that. That is, no. I don't want that headache.
Is that a reflection of the Canadian dollar, or is it a reflection of they're doing it because they can?
I think they're doing that because they can. Because guess what? Yeah. They're going to sell them. The seats will be full. There
were conversations years and years ago. I want to say this would have been like maybe 2013 or 2014, I think. Yeah, it was right around then. Conversations between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Chicago Blackhawks. And the Maple Leafs organization had a concern that, and this is a legitimate concern when you have an older fan base. One of the issues is you need to have a certain amount of, bluntly, kids at the rink. So because one day when these kids grow up, they will be your season ticket holder base. But they need to have that experience when they're younger. Like when I was a kid going to games at Maple Leaf Gardens with my dad, we would buy tickets and they were like $10. Like the blues or the greens or grays would be like $5. The golds were always more expensive and the reds were more expensive. Center ice reds were always the best seats. But there was always like a really healthy amount of like young people at games. And then, eventually when they grow up and start their careers and all that, have some disposable income, they become your next season ticket holder base. But if you've not opened up any on-ramps for kids to get in the building, at a certain point, no one's had that experience when they're young. So they're not going to have that same emotional attachment to one day I want to be a season ticket holder, or one day I want to go to all of these games if they're shut out when they're kids. Like, as far as branding goes, like, you need to grab people by the time they're 12. I think that's when brand identity is. I mean, I don't work in marketing, but from what I've always read or understood, brand marketing is strongest, and you attach yourself strongly to brands when you're 12 years old. And that's why you need to have kids in the building or at the ballpark or at the football soccer stadium or at wherever. Otherwise, to be blunt, that fan base is just going to get older and die off. And how do you rejuvenate that fan base? Chicago was able to do it. And I know that Toronto was really sensitive about it or worried about it, to the point where there were conversations with John McDonough in Chicago about how the Blackhawks had done it. Don't know where it went, but I know the conversations did take place. Yes, absolutely. And that's whenever I see like ticket price increases like that, I always say to myself, how are kids getting into the building? It's so expensive. You can maybe go to like one game. Like, dude, I used to go to, and it wasn't like, my family wasn't well off. Like, we were very, very middle class. Like, not a well-off family whatsoever. I went to so many hockey games. Like, the Maple Leafs used to run these promotions where if you bought a Maple Leafs ticket, you could, like, for Saturday night, you could also see a Marlies game in the afternoon for free.
Yeah.
I saw and that's why I fell in love with junior hockey. Now, I was in a very privileged time because I could go watch WHA games, could watch junior hockey games, could watch NHL games, and none of it was really expensive at all. Like, so we're talking like mid to late 70s. But I'm wondering, like, how do you get, like, if you're a kid, like, how many Maple Leaf games do you get to go see? 1? Maybe 2? I would go to like 20 a year. Like, we would just be able to go on a whim and just like hop on the subway and go to the Maple Leaf Gardens, and then like walk up the stairs at College/Carleton and smell the peanuts and buy tickets for like $15. Not great tickets, but you get into the building. I do this so often with my dad. Go buy standing rooms. That's fine. Go get blues. Those are great seats. Like, I have to go like 20 games a year minimum, and we were not well off. Now, man, it's an investment. Total investment.
Yeah. Look, that it's kind of funny you say that too. Like, I remember when I was a kid, I used to get to go to a lot of Leafs games. My mom actually this morning, out of nowhere, sent me a picture of me, my grandpa, and Bobby Orr at a Leafs game. So I thought that was pretty cool. But like, yeah, I got to go a lot, and I mean, my parents tell it all the time. Like, by the time I think I was like 3 or 4 years old, I could name every single player on the Maple Leafs. So it's kind of what you're saying, like building that, identity with them and kind of buying in. Like, by the time I was a kid, like, I was hook, line, and sinker. I was a Maple Leafs fan. That was it. And I mean, led to me doing this here now, pretty much, basically. But it was like, I think about that on the one side, and then also thinking about the other side of, like, imagine just being a parent and being like, I'd like to take my kid to a hockey game, but maybe it's an insane price to take your kid because you got to buy the $300 seats to sit, at Scotiabank Arena in the last rows of the building against the Habs on a Saturday night. Like, you don't get to experience that stuff. You don't have that. And then maybe you don't justify it if you're a parent because you've got a 3-4-year-old kid who's going to like going to the hockey game, but they get restless by the end of the third period and they want to leave. They want to get out of there. Like, that's the reality. This is just, they're human beings. Like, these kids may just want to leave. And then the parents like, I'm not going to spend that money to go and do that. I get it. It's so frustrating to have. The other part, by the way, as well, just strictly on like a Leaf side of the ticket prices. Yeah. Tickets are already really fucking expensive. Yeah. Like, the crowd is so quiet in there. We have an issue. Why are we making them more expensive? This is what we've talked about for so long about how this is a thing. Sorry, I don't want to go on for that forever. But if I would answer, by the way, if I would buy a team, a lacrosse team, maybe the Toronto Rock. I love lacrosse. Another one.
Yeah.
I love lacrosse. I think more people should watch it. More people should be involved in it. I played it my whole life. Like anytime I get a chance, I love lacrosse. Another one that I was going to say, it's kind of funny that you end up saying the Gulf Storm.
Why?
The London Knights. I would buy the London Knights. They're
Why
just
London
this
Knights?
like, because they're like, in my mind, the London Knights are like the evil empire of junior hockey.
Yeah.
I think it would be
Yeah,
so cool to be like the owner of like
It's like
this
the Kelowna
big,
Rockets
this
in the Western
badass
League,
team.
the Quebec Ramparts in the Q, right? Halifax.
Yeah.
Like, the evil empire.
Like, I like that. I think that's sick. And I mean, I got to go to games when I was there. Yeah. It's like an NHL team to the people of London. It's awesome. Like, it's so cool. I love junior hockey as well. But that'll go to my next question here for you. This is from Colton Davies. Who is your all-time favorite junior hockey team? So I don't know necessarily if Colton meant this as like, who's your favorite franchise or
individual
like
team,
like
most fun team. Well, I mean, I haven't. Well, those Marlies teams, like I remember there was a couple of years. Good question, Colton. The first junior team that I fell in love with were the Toronto Marlboros, with a guy by the name of Bruce Dowie, who was the goaltender. Dowie that later went on to become a Toronto Maple Leafs prospect, played in the American Hockey League a bit. You know, Philly, whenever I'm asked, like, you know, who's the person that you want to like meet in hockey and talk to, it's going to sound so weird. Bruce Dowie. I've never had a chance to meet Bruce Dowie, but as a kid, and I was a goaltender, and I mentioned I would go to all these Marlies games because you buy Maple Leafs tickets, you go to see junior hockey, and then I just ended up going to like tons of Marlies games. I thought that Bruce Dowie was the best goaltender I ever saw. I was so in love with the way he played, the equipment he wore, like everything about Bruce Dowie I loved. Never had a chance to meet him. I've never met Bruce Dowie. Always wanted to meet Bruce Dowie. Never had a chance to. So probably one of those Marlies teams. I'll tell you what, there were a couple of new Westminster Bruins teams that would terrify everybody, coached by Ernie McLean. I remember they used to, for the Memorial Cup, they would always run over Hamilton. Hamilton Finn Cups of the then OHA, now OHL. So maybe a couple of those Ernie McLean teams. But favorite junior hockey team. Oh, you know what? I'll tell you what. That Niagara team with Brian Fogarty. Brian Fogarty is a name that many of you have probably never heard of. His story is not a very good one, and his passing was not great and very premature. Brian Fogarty had a lot of issues that if he were around now, we would understand and would have had an easier time treating or at least recognizing. But I never, as a long-winded answer here for Colton, I never saw another player in junior hockey with my own eyes. Now, mind you, I never saw Mario play in the Q or Pat LaFontaine. Like I never saw Mario play in the Quebec League. But I never saw a player take over a game the way that Brian Fogarty did. He was a first-round draft pick in the NHL. Brian Fogarty, the late Brian Fogarty, that Niagara team, that Thunder team, yeah, maybe that one. Just because I loved watching Brian Fogarty so much. The defenseman who grabbed the puck, just do whatever the guys, Philly, you must have played with them. Every time they touched the puck, they could do whatever they wanted, and no one could stop them. That was Brian Fogarty. Yeah, so that Thunder team. Yeah, that Fogarty team for sure.
Okay, there you go. I unfortunately did not get to watch too much like OHL hockey and stuff when I was a kid, or I just didn't. But I watched a lot of OJHL hockey.
Oh, yeah.
One of my favorites was, and I watched that team, the Aurora Tigers team that won, what's it called? The RBC Cup. That's what it is, right? The junior. Yeah. I think it was Jerome Dupont was the coach.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you sat behind the Tigers net or not net, bench, or in the vicinity of the bench, you would hear swear words you never thought you would hear in your life. And I was like a kid, and I was sitting there and like, this is the best thing I've ever heard in my life. So I watched a lot of that. I just remember Tigers games, the Newmarket Hurricanes. Jeez, man, blanking on me there.
The rivalry that Ray 20, right? They played at Ray 20?
Yep. The Battle of Yonge Street between Ray 20 there and the Tigers and the Hurricanes, and then at the ACC, Aurora Community Center here. Oh, yes. Watching that was like just the best as a little kid. I remember going packed stands. Not quite the same now, but
is that the rink that has like that weird drop? when you walk on the rink, there's like a drop that's like 2 feet
off the bench. Yes.
Yeah, like that was the arena, right?
Yes.
And did you play there?
Yes.
I remember we used to watch it because my kids have played there. I'm like, good Lord, like all these kids like falling all over. Like, fix your rink, man. There's a drop.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like 3 or 4 feet.
Yep. The old school wooden benches in there. They're like black and yellow. Yeah, the bowl and then the bench. I think that they did fix them, by the way. I think that they did. But the bench was nuts. You would have to step up. Mm-hmm. And by the way, too, like the bench when you sat on the actual bench was. I mean, I can't really like show it, but like it was like you sat and it was like at the top of your knees basically because it was so high up in the air. So when you're sitting behind the bench, like you're just so high up on the thing. I remember if you watch like old Tigers games and you see them on TV or the video footage of them too, you see the players, like you can see them all kind of sitting there elevated just because of the way the bench is. But
so have I told you my favorite Aurora Tiger goaltender of all time is John Bartlett. Play-by-play boys, Hockey Night in Canada. Bartz was a goaltender for the Aurora Tigers. I think it might have been in the Marty Williamson days. I'm not sure. Anyhow, what other obscure questions do we have? Oh, NY Boost. Jeff, when will we get an updated photo of you on the sheet loading screen? Yeah, no kidding. When's the last time I've
had a few people ask me about that.
Frickin' suit. Yeah, do you wear a suit to work? No. You get my coffee shop look here, man.
I mean, look at me. Jeff's going to wear a suit sitting next to me looking like this. Come on.
Yeah. What else we got?
There was a question about we need a sheet dictionary was a question. And not really a question, more of a comment, but it was from earlier on. There's a question about that, about a sheet dictionary because of all the terms that you use and like what they mean. What? And I think the one that was referenced was a pink balloon.
Oh, yeah, like, that's just like, I always refer to myself as like a pink balloon in a suit on television. I just like, I just look like really plain, boring look. I just look like a pink balloon. No? Nothing really distinctive. Like, throw glasses on me and put me in front of books, maybe. Like, okay, well, nickel and dime academic, I suppose. I don't know. I never had like any like great look. I just say like, yeah, look at a freaking pink balloon in a suit. Welcome to the program.
Space cakes, and J-Rock says.
Oh, eating space cake. Yeah, that's a good one. You like that one? Yeah, like when you're out to lunch. Like, fuck, Zach, you fucking eating space cake with that idea, buddy.
By the way, John Benkert, who I'm meeting up with tonight in Nashville here. A regular in the Sheet Chat. Yes.
Nice. Where are you guys going?
Not determined yet.
Okay.
We're going to do the show. We're going to have dinner and then probably head out to Broadway. I know the boys are there right now getting ready for the show. How about that? They're on Broadway. They're on the rooftop at Tootsie's.
Are they priming before they paint tonight? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Can't paint till you prime. Can't paint till you prime.
But John says they're doing a Phil Kessel bobblehead night tonight in Pittsburgh. Tickets for that on a Friday are $55. That's good. That's good stuff.
That's
what you should be doing. Yeah, get people in the building. Like, by the way, one night, I don't know if I've told it on the show. One time, I went to a Red Wings Sens game in Detroit. The Red Wings did a Daniel Alfredsson bobblehead night of an Alfie in the Red Wings uni.
In the Red Wings uniform?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was... I remember that time, too, man. Alfredsson was just hella pissed at the old owner. Oh, that was nasty.
I can imagine.
One day, someone's got to do it. An entire story on the Alfie saga with Ottawa. Oh, that was...
Hopefully we could do it.
Well, I mean, like, the thing about Alfredsson was... Like, Alfredsson always came in way under market. Like, if you look at the money that Daniel Alfredsson made with the Ottawa Senators versus how much he meant to the organization, how much money he should have been making, like, he's one of those players in that era that left so much money on the table. And then by the end, when it was like, okay, I've done all these solids for you here, and Alfredsson wanted to get paid, Sen's like, no, we're not going to pay you. You're not that player anymore. He's like, oh.
Yeah.
That one got real nasty. That one got really, really, really nasty. Daniel Alfredsson did so much for that organization. On the ice, off the ice, with his contract, everything. Alfredsson was like, and first of all, he's one of my favorite players. I'm sure you could tell. One of my favorite players. Just an all-round, 100% team guy. Did so much for that Sens organization, for them to turn around and do what they did to him, man. Oof. That was a tough one.
I don't want you to keep telling me how good of a guy he is and how much good stuff he did, because I used to hate Daniel Alfredsson. Oh, I hated that guy as a Leafs fan. Oh man, that was one of the worst.
Throwing sticks into the crowd. You didn't like that one? Yeah. He was so good. He was roasted.
How am I gonna hate this guy?
In his prime, find me. He was like one of the elite in the world. God, whatever he wanted to do. God, Alfredsson was so good, just tremendous. Didn't like Scott Niedermayer in Game 3. No, Game 4. That Anaheim series.
Yeah, that's
shot the puck at him.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Just wired it at him. I'm like, Alfredsson? That was shocker. And then Brad May told me, I was like, what did Niedermayer say in the room afterwards? And he said, Scott was great. Scott said, guys, don't get distracted. Look at that. We got him exactly where they wanted. We're going to kill him out there. He's like, no, you're not. You're going to go out there, and we're going to beat this team, and we're going to win the Stanley Cup. Everybody calm down. I'll take a slap shot in the knees to win the Stanley Cup. Leave it. Yep. They're frustrated. Leave them.
Looking at chat here where we're at. Yeah, good point by NY Boost. Let's get those likes up. I'm gonna do this one. It's been asked probably every show since you brought it up.
What's that?
Can you tell the Ty Domi? I forget the guy's name, so I'm sorry, but the Ty Domi penalty
Chris
box
Falcone.
Story.
Chris
Falcone. Can you tell that story?
It's not really like a huge story. So I was working at 640 doing Leafs lunch. Me and Bill Waters. My producer was Jeff Domet, who's now with The Athletic producing podcasts, and we went down to Philly. Was it games 1 and 2 or just 2? I can't really recall. It was the game where Aki Berg scored, I think, the first goal of the game, and then Philly came back and won 4-1. But it was after the Domi incident in the penalty box, my producer tracked him down, and we had him on the radio show on Leafs Lunch, and had a wonderful conversation, kept in touch, exchanged phone numbers, and he said, you ever get to Philadelphia, look me up. So his family, I don't know if he still does, his family owned a construction company. Chris Falcone. I can't remember the name of the company, though. But he could not have been a nicer guy. First of all, knew everything about the Philadelphia Flyers. By his own admission, wasn't a huge NHL fan, but knew everything about the Philadelphia Flyers. And, could not have been a better tour guide. I know when you think, Chris Falcone, there's the guy that fell in the penalty box trying to fight Domi. Honestly, one of the nicest hockey fans I've ever met. Took me everywhere in Philadelphia. There was one night that we went out, and he took me every single place from the seedy underbelly of Philadelphia to the Rocky Steps. It was one of these glorious nights where Liberty Bell, everything you can think about, all the things you have to do when in Philadelphia. Chris Falcone, and I didn't touch my wallet once. He was like, leave your wallet at the hotel. Paid for everything. And then next morning took us all out for breakfast before the game. Honestly, Philly Chris Falcone. I don't have his number anymore. I have to give Domet a call and get it back. But now that you mentioned his name, should send him a quick note and say, hey, man, remember you took me out? You're a great guy. Honestly, I don't even know what happened to him afterwards, but one of the best nights I've ever had in Philadelphia outside of my time covering wrestling and going to see ECW in Philadelphia. Some of those nights. And there was that one night in Philadelphia where, oh God, what was it? Taz wanted to beat me up in the ECW dressing room. I got some beef. I said something on the air about him, and then we worked it out, but everyone's like, Taz is going to beat you up, man. Taz is going to beat you up. I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to go in there and just take my lumps, I suppose. Man, I saw a lot of drugs in that dressing room. I got to tell some wrestling stories one day. There was more drugs in that dressing room than I've ever seen anywhere in my life at the ECW dressing room. Anyhow, What was the question again? Oh yeah, Chris Falcone, great guy, awesome dude. I've had a weird life, Philly. It's been strange.
Chat's gonna be happy about that one. Chat's gonna be happy about
that. It's not that much of a story, other than just like honestly, the best guy you will ever meet. The best guy you will ever meet.
All right, I'm going to get one more from you here. It was an email that was sent in. I just want to thank the chat quickly. They have been very kind to me here today, talking about how I look and like the lighting and the setting and stuff. So last night on the post-game show, I was getting eviscerated by my chat. And then now I come here today. And so I was sitting next to Rosie. These guys were asking if like I'm like, they're like, oh wow, look, Rosie looks amazing. Look, Zach's like the little child here beside. I'm like, yeah, you put me between Alberga, who's over 6 feet, and Rosie, who is still built and just like wearing a tight shirt. I'm like, yeah, this was brutal. Yeah, and I got eviscerated. Now the chat's nice to me here today.
Is Rosie the guy that wears like the shirt 2 sizes too small, like still does like a lot of upper body and wears the shirt like 2 sizes smaller than he should? Is he that guy?
No. In all honesty, it's not that tight. I guess it's more so just if you're like that jacked, then it's going to look tighter, fills it out more. So, yeah, I'm like, this is the final one here that I've got, and we'll wrap this on this here, Jeff, if you want. But it's about the playoff structure. On the playoff structure. Yeah. This is from Wyatt. Glad you're back, but he says no part of the argument about the playoff structure was due to the increased division rivalries, but I would argue that now that we've had years of this new realignment, we can take the training wheels off, quote, as some of you have said, the playoffs too.
Salary cap,
Division rivalries are pretty baked in at this point. The game is in such a great place, but when a conference final battle of the top 2 teams pull way more money than a first round battle of the 2. Thank you, Wyatt. I wanted to read this one specifically.
Okay.
Because I kind of wanted to hear you and maybe debate on this. You've said a few times, like, you like the best hockey at the beginning and having those teams go head-to-head at the beginning. Yes. So would you just be, like, very much opposed to that idea? Like, of having it be solely in the conference finals?
I am. By the time, it doesn't matter which team it is, by the time the Stanley Cup rolls around, we all love it because it means that much more, and every shift is that much more emotionally charged because we know it's on the line and you're right there. But if you saw, like I've always said this, if you looked at a Stanley Cup final game, took the crowd out of it, okay, and didn't know that it was a Stanley Cup final, and watched the quality of that game versus the game in the opening round, which one do you think would be better? If you had no context for it, which actual game do you think would be better? Say it.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
These guys are healthy by the time you get to late June. By the time you get to like mid to late June and you're playing in the Stanley Cup final, how many guys are going on fumes? How many guys have to have the trainers cut their shoulder pads to get them off because they can't lift up their arms? Mm-hmm. Like, we know about war of attrition, all the cliches and all that stuff. That's why I don't mind Dallas and Colorado in the opening round. I don't care. All I care, because again, like, I don't have a dog in it, so I just want a great hockey game. And to know the best hockey games, like the actual best hockey games that I'm going to see are probably going to be in the first round. So I don't mind Dallas and Colorado in the first round. I'll take it. I'm fine with it because I just want to see great hockey games, and that is my best chance at watching great hockey games. Two healthy teams, as healthy as they can be that late in the season.
Yep. We also did the playoff restructuring the other day on the show. I think that was on Monday, right? And we talked about what it would
almost
be
identical.
1 versus 8 versus what it is now. It's pretty much identical. The same. Yeah. So it's not like there's too much change. And I think year after year, if you kind of look at some of that stuff, there's really not. It really wouldn't be that different. My only thing. Having said
that, would you not like to see the Battle of Ontario every year? Would you not like to see the Battle of Alberta every year?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like, so spoiled growing up, knowing, like, you know what, we got a chance of watching Montreal, Quebec, and I want to watch that every single year. We got a chance of watching, Boston, Hartford. I want to see that every single year. We get a chance of watching the Islanders, Rangers. Yeah, I'll take that. I want to see that every single year. Like, I think one of the issues is and this is one of the problems that the NHL has here, is the NHL has a problem where the season's too long. It's never going to get shortened. It's only going to get longer. And there are too many games that don't mean anything. Right? Like there's nothing that has like an emotional charge to it because like you can lose. Like the Detroit Red Wings just went through a spell, Philly, where they lost, what was the losing streak? 6 games? Lost 6 games in a row, won a game, and they're back in it.
Yeah, I know.
Meant nothing.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's like the Leafs went on their skid, and then all of a sudden they win these couple of games. They're tied with Florida again in the top.
You're measuring bridges, Philly. You got your tape measure out for bridges. I know. Bridges and floats. Oh, where's Philly? Oh, you grab the tape measure. He's out looking at bridges.
Well, I mean, I'm in Nashville right now, so I had to send some of my buddies down to Lakeshore so they could bolt my chair to the street
Very
that
nice.
it's there.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to make sure I have my spot. Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yes.
I want to get some more chat questions in, but one thing that I do want to mention and highlight, our good friend Johnny Lazarus, who, mark my words, one day will be the face of this company. Johnny Lazarus from Morning Cup of Hockey sat down with the captain of the BU Terriers hockey team, Shane LaChance. For all you olds, that's Scott LaChance's kid. Ooh, was that 1991 draft, 1990 draft, 4th overall? At Razor's Barbershop in Cambridge, Massachusetts. This is presented by Parasso. And the feature is live now on the Daily Faceoff YouTube channel. You can listen in as Johnny and Shane get lined up by the team at Razors while talking Beanpot, NHL draft, and his hockey lineage as well. Shave and a haircut. All right, at Razors. This is Johnny Lazarus and BU Terriers captain Shane LaChance, now the New Jersey Devils, part of the Trent Frederick trade. More on that in a moment. Have a look.
Last question to wrap it up. Favorite NHL player?
It's got to be Brady Tkachuk.
BU guy, makes sense. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Ever since he was at BU, ever since he kind of got into the NHL, I just watched him play the way he plays. I mean, he's obviously plays. I aspire to play the same way that he does. So I mean, yeah, he's awesome. Our dads were roommates at BU actually.
No way. How many years?
Just one.
Just one?
Yeah, my dad was there for one. I think they were both there for 1 year.
Oh, really?
So yeah,
That's sick.
Yeah, it was awesome.
So I asked Colby Cohen about him, right? Like, you want to know anything about BU? Colby Cohen's your guy, anything. So he was voted captain sophomore season, got a vote from every single player on the team. He is big body guy, as you can tell. His dad was a large guy, defenseman. He thinks that he plays in the NHL. Colby does. The skating probably needs some work, but everything else, like the hockey IQ, off the charts, second generation guy. And yes, I'm old enough to remember watching his dad not only play, but get drafted. Scott LaChance, 4th overall Islanders.
I picked that clip for 2 reasons.
Okay.
Jeff.
Why?
I don't know if you know. Do you have a guess of why?
Because you mentioned Brady Tkachuk and the Tkachuk family.
Well, part of it. I thought it was really interesting that he said, I aspire to play like him. Because we've talked about that, right? Like how there's going to be this new wave of players watching Matthew and Brady and these guys and being like, I want to play like that. The other reason was a much more simple-minded reason.
Okay.
I started laughing when Laz said, last question. And then I'm pretty sure he asked him another question in the video.
There's only one person worse than me in the world for doing the last question bit, and that's Johnny Lazarus. I think the worst I ever had was like 5 times I said last question on the old 32 pod to someone. And after Elliot's like, hey, you might want to stop saying like, okay, last question. Okay, one more. Oh, you know what? Last question. No, this is the real last question. Just talk.
Just keep asking.
Yeah. Just keep asking. Speaking of which, anything more from the chat today before we get to the game of the night?
No, I think that we're good on that. I was pretty. That was pretty good from the chat here today. I honestly. Oh wait, there's one more here. I want to make sure. I'll ask this.
Hang on. Someone's asking me about a golf. Captain THC elbows up. Oy vey, who's your favorite mini golf player? You know I can't stand golf. Do you know this about me?
Yeah, we've briefly discussed
how bad
that.
I am at golf. I'm awful. I'm miserable out there. I don't enjoy it. All my friends who say that they love it, I go out and golf with them and they're miserable and they don't like it. It's just an excuse for them to get drunk. And I always say the same thing. Like, you don't want me out with you. You do not want me golfing with you. I assure you, the best 2 balls I hit will be when I step on a rake. That's it. I'm telling you, you do not want me golfing with you. You do not want it. Well, that's Marek's best shot right there.
Got it.
Anything else from the chat?
Man. No, I was gonna ask. There's a question here from Tommy T. He says, without naming specific players, will you please share details behind the scenes of bumps and bruises and, quote, upper/lower body injuries we civilians don't know about? I don't think there's any really during the season that really goes on. I mean, it's all the stuff in the playoffs that we end up finding out about. That's always crazy, where it's like, oh, this guy's banged up. Oh, yeah, you broken ribs and punctured lung, Patrice Bergeron.
That's the big one to me. Like, how that guy played through that. It was ribs and punctured lung. It was a series against Philadelphia. It was Randy Jones. It was the Randy Jones hit on Patrice Bergeron, and guy just gutted it out after. Was it Randy Jones? I think it was Randy Jones. Randy Jones who got Bergeron, and I have no idea. Like, I'm kind of split on it sometimes, because I think that glorifying injuries can lead to people really, really hurting themselves and doing things just for the sort of the glory of it. Look at me, I'm so tough. I'm playing through all these injuries. But then part of it is just so remarkable too. And I think it should really be applauded in some way. So I am talking out of both sides of my mouth because I'm split on it. 1, I think it's a super cool thing. 2, I don't know that we should really be bragging so much about how we play through injuries like that in hockey, because I don't know how wise that is. But it's so cool.
Yep, I understand.
But honestly,
it's so cool.
It's so cool. Like, I'm sorry. Like, we're all like 98% chimp at the end of it. Like, and I know, like, oh, you got scabs on your knuckles. Did you walk over here, Marek? Like, I understand it, but like, it's still part of the attraction of hockey. Still to this day, is just how freaking tough these guys are, and how much they play through things. And I'll tell you what. Like, in some ways, playing through all that is actually tougher than just being like a fighter. Like, there's 2 different types of toughness, right? There's like exerting your own toughness on someone else, being like physically stronger. And then there's like the toughness where you can play through things and not change. Like, I've always maintained the 2 of the toughest players in their era when they played were the Sedins. And it's like, how are they tough? It's like, they never changed the way they played. They got slashed and cross-checked and punched and mugged every single time they're out there. They never changed their game.
Yep.
A lot of guys would wilt, pack it in, too tough for me. They never changed. Maybe it's just a sign of me getting older. I find that tougher. I find that to be one of the toughest things you can do in sports. Endure that and never change your game. Older I get, the more respect I have for those guys for never changing their game whatsoever. How about you, Philly?
Yeah, I respect that as well. We've talked about that on the show. I mean, you see some of those guys who just take beatings like that and just continue to find their way through it. It's impressive. Yeah. I mean, on the whole like injury thing, I mean, I'm the chimp brain. That's me. I'm the guy who loves hearing about those things. You don't want them to have to deal with it, and you'd rather, again, that kind of goes to your point about the
but it's a reality,
level of competition. But
as a hockey fan that's baked in the pot, you have to understand. Like, this is going to sound really, really harsh, but as a hockey fan, you have to be settled with the fact that you enjoy a concussion sport. It is.
Yep.
It's a concussion sport.
And that football, you just come to grips with it.
MMA, go right down the list.
Right.
Like, I'm still convinced, and it's not going to happen in our generation, but somewhere like in our kids' generation, we're going to look back on sports like hockey, and we're going to go, what were you people thinking? Like, what's wrong with you? I look at football and go like, what are you thinking? Or look at boxing and MMA and go like, what were you thinking? Like, what was the thought process behind getting on skates and skating as fast as you can and slamming into one another. What are you thinking? What's wrong with you people? It's going to happen. All right, a couple of things before I wrap up here. And thanks to everybody in the chat. Tim Hortons, another successful run. Canada, your favorite contest is back. Roll Up to Win is back at Tim Hortons. That means you could win millions of amazing prizes with just a swipe of a thumb. Imagine turning your routine Tim's run into an unforgettable vacation with Sell-Off Vacations, a $1,000 Rakuten cash prize, or an all-new, all-electric 2025 Volkswagen ID Buzz. Even the simple joy of winning a free coffee or donut can make anyone's day, but you only have until March 23rd, so open up that Tim's app and get rolling. This is our game, Canada, so don't let this chance at millions of amazing prizes pass you by. Play Roll Up to Win on the Tim's app now. Rules apply. Canada only. No purchase necessary. Visit the Tim's app for details. Also, games tonight. We have one. And I want to make a point about this. But first, our friends and partners at FanDuel. Proud to connect fans to the major sports moments that matter to them. You know what, Philly? You know it should be a really good rivalry in the NHL? The game we're going to watch tonight at PPG Paints Arena between the Columbus Blue Jackets and the Pittsburgh Penguins. This, right now, geographically, should be a great rivalry. The problem is, neither of these two teams have been good at the same time. Mostly, it's Columbus's fault. We'll be blunt. Come on, Columbus. And this year, everybody, safe to say, is, at least in some respects, a Columbus Blue Jackets fan. When this team is good and good for a long time, I just hope the Pittsburgh Penguins are right there for them, because this is a rivalry that should happen in the NHL. Columbus versus Pittsburgh. That is tonight, the lone game on the schedule. Enjoy it. Crosby, by the way, just passing Gretzky for fourth place all time with points with a single franchise. And that 4-2 loss against the suddenly can they do this New York Islanders. Number 3 is Mario Lemieux. Number 2, Steve Yzerman. What's that? The last bet is back on. Just when he thought he was out, all of a sudden, like, Bo Horvat is like making sure Johnny gets a tattoo.
Oh, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Every time too. Colby tweets. Colby puts the tweet out, and I love it. Last night, all you did was tweet the standings. Rangers lose in reg. Islanders win. Oh, so my God.
So good. Number 1 on that list, by the way, is Gordie Howe. One day we'll do a show on Gordie Howe. That's for the off season. We'll do the stories and myths around Gordie Howe. History has been very kind. Not that he wasn't a great player. He was. But there are just some things that have been fluffed up by time. How about that? Okay. Let's do that one somewhere down the road. Anything last from you here? I thought this was going to be a quick show, and whenever I say that, it turns into 90 minutes. Anything from you? And thanks to everybody in the chat. That was a lot of fun. We just kind of let it fly here on a Friday. Anything left from you? Big plans for the weekend? Anything you want to plug? I know you guys are off to the Maple Leafs facing off against the Milwaukee Predators or Nashville Predators or wherever we're going to see. Put it this way. After the comments by Andrew Burnett, like, that team better show up. Like, that team's got to show up on Saturday here. Like, anyway, what do you got going on this weekend?
Yeah, just quickly on that as well. You know that means Nashville's going to show up. Toronto's going to come in here. We're going to run into them on Broadway somehow here tonight. And then we're going to go to this game. And the one game I get to see of the Leafs in person this season, like, they're going to get their teeth kicked. That's just how it's going to go. But anyways, no. I don't have anything really other than just make sure to subscribe to the Leafs Nation as well. I do the After Dark show on there. I'll be doing it tomorrow after the game as well. And literally, I can see it right there, Jeff. Love and Exile Bar. It's Carter Hutton's bar. We're going to be going there. I'm going to wrap this up, post the podcast, run over to Love and Exile, and we're going to do the podcast from there with Rosie, Alberga, and Hutz on the show today. So I'll be hanging out with producer Vic, watch the show, meet up with John Benkert from the Sheet Chat here a little bit later. If people are in Nashville, if you're around, send me a message. Come say hi. We'll be around here all weekend. That's all I got to say.
You know, my wife said to me yesterday, because we had to blow up the show because of travel. She goes,
"Oh yeah, sorry.
So you got Vacation Vic, and now you're gonna start calling him Slack Zach."
You shouldn't have said that. This chat is going to... Oh, no.
Vacation Vic and Slack Zach.
I felt so bad about that yesterday, too. So bad. I'm like...
Happens.
You know that we sat on the plane, Jeff? We sat on the plane. So first of all, the gate was closed. I don't want to make the show longer than it needs to be. The gate was closed to get to our gate. So we had to wait at another gate to get to the gate. 45 minutes late, they let us through. We board the plane, sit down. I sit down, put my bag under the thing. Hi, everyone. We're sorry. There's a leak in the nose. We have to get off the plane. Thanks.
Here's a couple of things. One, people love hearing media people complain about travel. And two, there's an old saying I like to remember. I have a lot of old sayings for you, young man. Here's one about air travel. Always remember this, Zach. Always remember this, young man. We'll close the show on this one. I would rather be down here wishing I was up there than being up there wishing I was down here. If there's something wrong, it's okay. I'd rather be down here wishing I was up there than up there wishing I was down here.
That's very fair.
Sage comment. Dennis Bayak told me that one years ago. When my flight was late on a little Toronto, New Jersey, New Year's Eve, and I was complaining about it. He's like, dude, listen to this old saying from Wizen Dennis Bayak. All right. Thanks for joining me in Slack Zach. Well, that's going to stick. On the show today, the program returns Monday, 3 o'clock Eastern. Don't forget Morning Cup of Hockey. Monday morning, 9 o'clock Eastern with our man Johnny Lazarus, fresh off a bachelor weekend. I don't even know where he is. And Colby Cohen, who's being responsible, and he's with his hockey team. Thank you very much. On behalf of Zach and everyone involved in the program here, thanks so much for joining. As always, we're back on Monday. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the hockey. Talk all about it on Monday. Got it? Have a great weekend. If you enjoyed that video, and we certainly hope that you do, please hit the subscribe button right there here at Daily Faceoff. I will put this lineup up against any hockey lineup anywhere. It all gets underway at 9 o'clock Eastern with Morning Cup of Hockey. That is Johnny Lazarus. That is Colby Cohen. Then at noon, it's DFO Live. And then 3 o'clock Eastern, The Sheet. Get caught up on everything